Hey there, it's Dr. Quinton Morris with Unmute the Voices, and I am joining you from Key to Change Studio, a studio I founded 7 years ago, which provides violin and viola lessons for students in the South King County area. In this episode, you're going to meet one of my viola students, Mason Nguyen, and he's going to tell you a little bit about the difference between the violin and the viola. We'll also talk about the impact that the viola has had on his life and how he has found friendship and a community using the viola, and more specifically, taking viola lessons. That's right now, here on Unmute the Voices. Mason, welcome to Unmute the Voices. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's my first time on, but you know, feeling nervous because I'm in the veil of the Dr. Morris.
Oh, please. Mason, how old are you?
I'm 16 years old. Actually.
16?
Yeah, I just turned 16 like a month ago, actually.
Oh, yeah? How's it feel being 16?
It doesn't feel any different from being 15.
Okay. And you're going into what grade next year?
I'm going to be a junior.
Okay. And you play the viola, yes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And tell me about the viola.
The viola. It's a flawed instrument.
Flawed?
Like the design of the viola, it should be bigger for the strings that it has. But just because it's flawed doesn't mean that it isn't a beautiful instrument.
It is indeed a beautiful instrument, and there's lots of sizes of the viola, but you're right that the larger the instrument is, that the more kind of vibrant the sound is. Tell me about your instrument that you're playing on.
My instrument is, I'm pretty sure it's like 2 years old, actually. Most of the time, usually people prefer instruments that are older because that's when they like actually perfected the craft. And most people say that older instruments do sound different than newer instruments, but I think that's just because of like how many people has played on it, so it's more broken in half the time. But my instrument, it's relatively new. I'm the only one who's played on it, which feels like actually incredible to say I'm currently the only one who's played on this instrument. But it's very deep and resonant. A lot of people have told me that when they're playing it, they can like feel the vibrations just like going through their body, and that's cool. Yeah, it is. It's a lovely instrument, and Jason Starkey, who is the luthier, made that instrument. I wish I met him at the Solo String Festival in I think it was May or April. I couldn't. I think he left before I could meet him. Yeah, well, you'll have a chance to meet him, I'm sure, someday. So, tell our viewers, what is the difference between a violin and a viola? Well, everyone really knows the violin, but they don't really know the viola. So, to the more like, unexperienced eye, it just kind of looks like a bigger violin. But to a musician that knows the difference between a violin and viola, they would know that the violin has different strings. The violin has the G, D, A, and E, but the viola has the C, G, D, and A, which means that it's in a lower register and has more potential to sound beautiful in those lower registers because of just how like full the sound is from the lower register compared to the violin. Actually, if you do listen to like classical music, you can really hear the difference between the lower register, like the G, D on a viola, than a violin, especially from my own experience. Yeah. Now, this is a show, Unmute the Voices, that we highlight and celebrate the music of people of color who are both composers and performers in classical music. Why do you think it's important for people to know about performers and composers of color? I feel like I would believe it's important just because I'm online a lot, so I read a lot so I've seen a lot about how how Europeans kind of stole a lot of music from the African community. Remember, I was seeing how like jazz, it was derived from African culture, but then like Europeans kind of took it and went with it their own way. And then I remember I was talking to some students here at Key to Change. They also told me that country was also part of the African culture, and I was like, what? Because it's mostly known for being like white people music, you know. So I think it's very important because it's kind of like the actual origin point of music sometimes. But right now I feel like it's better if we just grow as a whole instead of trying to find or instead of trying to like pinpoint the origins, because we're kind of focusing too much on like where it came from instead of how it's evolved. Because there's a lot of music now, and there's a lot of different genres that people listen to. So I just feel it's better to like listen to all of them to see like where you actually fit in.
Unmute the Voices is sponsored by Key to Change Studio. Key to Change Studio is a violin and viola studio located in Renton, Washington, which allows middle and high school underserved students living in South King County an opportunity to take violin or viola lessons. For more information, visit their website at keytochangestudio.org. Now, back to Unmute the Voices. I mean, the diversity in music is just so beautiful. And that's something we have here at Key to Change, where you're a viola student, you're actually my viola student here in this program, and we're very diverse. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what your experience has been being in such a diverse community of students who are studying both the violin and the viola.
I've actually always been in a really diverse community. I went to elementary school in Seattle, so.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I went to Wingluck Elementary.
Oh, okay.
When I was there, it was actually like really Asian predominant, so I never felt like I was out of place compared to a lot of other Asians that went to places where they were the minority. So I never really felt any different when I came to Key to Change, because I just felt like I was like in my natural place. There's just a lot of people here, so it was easy to make friends.
And do you feel like being in a diverse environment is much easier to make friends with people versus being in a community where it might not be very diverse?
I honestly think it depends, like, because a community can be diverse, but it also can be unfriendly, because it's mostly the people that actually want to be friends instead of the actual like race or ethnicity.
Okay.
So I feel like it more depends on like how much the people want to be friends instead of like the actual like area around. Because I know a lot of from like the Asian community that there's like it's very different. There's different cultures in Asia that just like influence many Asians here in the U.S. So like there's a difference between SoCal Asians or NorCal Asians. It just gets really like weird sometimes.
What can one do, at least in classical music, to be more friendly, to build community? What would you say to other people, on how they can become more friendly within a genre of music that isn't always so inclusive?
You just have to find your place, really. At times, you won't find friends really that easily in some places. So you just have to like look for those people.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say you can, well, obviously you can just be friendly half the time. But I think if you're friendly and you're looking, you can probably find a group of friends that will accept you.
Yeah. So what would you say to those people who don't believe in diversity, who don't believe in the power of being friendly in a diverse community?
I always just thought, why? Because like everywhere is different. I've like seen online where like linguistics, they were talking about how like if two people are on like a boat for a long time, their speech patterns can change, and that just already makes them different from the rest of the world. So I just asked why, because like we're all really different in every way, honestly. It's like a household, like two different households, right? They can be like the same like ethnicity or just like race, but they can be incredibly different in like actual like style of how they raised or just the style of the house.
Yeah.
I just never understood why people would like hate it.
So then programs like Unmute the Voices and Key to Change become even more important, right? And so why is it important to support, programs like Unmute the Voices and Key to Change for those people who may not understand the power of diversity or the power of, making friends in a community that's supportive? Like, why should people care?
Oh, why should people care?
Yeah, why should people care?
Because I feel like Key to Change gives like a lot of opportunities. That's I didn't really know about it when I first joined, but when I did join and I like started like in my second year actually, I realized like how much stuff you could actually do in Key to Change. Especially this year. It's my first year in the Young Artist Academy program. And I've already done a lot of stuff. Like I've played with a symphony orchestra. I have the opportunity to be a soloist with a symphony orchestra. I've played at the Museum of Glass. I've played in public. That was probably the funnest part, actually.
Yeah.
But you just get a lot of opportunities for like coming to Key to Change, and just like I feel like it's very important to support this because you're changing kids' lives, honestly. Like you teach them a lot about music, and not even about music sometimes.
What do you feel like you have learned outside of just playing the instrument that you have benefited from?
I feel like I've gained more. I'm forgetting the word. You say it to me. Oh, discipline. Yeah, you say that to me a lot.
Don't forget that word.
I'm not. Yeah, but I've definitely I've gained a lot of discipline for like just 1 year.
Yeah.
Here in the Young Artist Academy. I also learned a lot of time management. Time, that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, all of those skills are transferable, in and out of music. So, thank you so much for being here on Unmute Voices. You did great.
It gets easier when it actually starts.
It absolutely does get easier.
That's why I like performing.
You're a good performer, too. Proud of you. Thank you. Thank you for being on our show. And thank you also for watching this episode of Unmute Voices. I'm Dr. Quinton Morris, and have a great day.